Hi guys, welcome back. Well, if you've been watching any of my recent videos, you'll know that I've been working on this Brierley ZB32 drill grinder. It's something that I'd picked up on eBay, and all I received was the head unit, which I knew it was just the head unit when I bought it. I've no idea what had happened to the rest of the machine, but looking online and some of the videos on the machine, I thought, well, I can manufacture some of the missing bits. This is obviously the most important part of the machine: the 6-jaw chuck and the swivel action that grinds the relief onto the drills. So this arrived, and I started looking around to see what I had lying around to come up with the rest of the machine. So just let me move this and I'll show you what I've come up with. Well, the first thing I looked for was a swivel base to mount the head unit on. As you turn the crank handle, the head unit swivels left to right to grind the relief. So this is a swivel base off a milling machine vise. I've got a couple of these, so I thought I could use that. I've drilled out the centre section and put a pivot arm in that the head unit slides onto, so that gives me the rotation left and right. I can also adjust the head unit to increase or decrease the angle of grind on whatever it is I'm grinding. 118 degrees for the standard right hand drills, but I can adjust that to whatever angle I needed it. So that I've got the whole thing mounted onto a Myford Super 7 lathe bed that I picked up a couple of years ago, and I've finally moved it into its final resting position, which is in the back room that I do all the grinding in. I have up to now been working in one of the other rooms, and I've always intended bringing this into this back room. So that's in position now. Well, once I got the swivel base sorted, I started looking at some way of mounting the motor for the grinding wheel, and a way of adjusting the position of the wheel so I could install a drill and then bring the grinding wheel into suit. So I had this cross slide unit. This came with an antique wood lathe that I'd picked up very cheaply, and I thought that would make an ideal way of mounting the motor and being able to adjust it in and out or left and right. So I've got that, both of these pieces now are bolted onto the lathe bed. So yeah, I had initially intended to use Black & Decker 8-inch bench grinder. I've got a couple of those, but when I mounted it onto this top plate, it was far too high with the original mounting foot. So I'd taken that off and come up with some other contraption of lowering the height of the grinder, but I was never really happy with it. So I started looking online for a foot mounted motor that also had a flange mount on. Yeah, well, after a bit of searching I discovered this little beauty. This is a Brooks Crompton Parkinson motor, 3-phase. It's foot mounted, but it also is flange mounted. Now originally this had a hydraulic pump on, which I'd junked. The reason it's foot mounted is obvious, because it lowers the height of it. Doesn't have the large upstand that the Black & Decker grinders had. But the reason I wanted it flange mounted was to put an extension shaft on, so I could mount the grinding wheel probably about that distance away from the flange. Well, that's the extended shaft that I came up with. This section is the original piece. It has a keyway cut in it that mounts onto the motor shaft. This is what drove the hydraulic pump originally, so it's this section that I've come up with from this point. So that extends the shaft out quite a distance. Got to fit it onto the keyway, so I think you get the idea there. And then I needed a housing to support that, so come up with this piece. I've machined this down to that diameter, so that goes onto the section there. It's then locked in place with this oven-headed bolt. So then, let me just support this. The extended shaft then goes into this section, and then the bearing is supported by this end piece. I've machined the diameter out to suit this bearing on there, so that bearing sits onto that to centralise it, and then the whole thing gets bolted onto the base of that. So I'm almost there with the pieces that I had to come up with. I machined a keyway into this with a woodruff key and made this dry flange. This section bolts onto the CBN wheel that I'm used for the grinding, but that once it's installed, that fits onto there, and then that gives me a greater area to drive the grinding disc. So I think I've only got one job to do yet. This isn't all one piece, it's three pieces. There's the original end that came with the motor, then they've got this centre section, and then this inner piece is a separate piece as well. So the jobs I've got to do now, I want to put some tapered pins through the two sections. At the moment it's just a friction pit. I have been using it and there's no slippage, but just to finish the job I want to put two tapered pins through the separate sections, and then I think everything can be mounted up and we're good to go in its final position. So well, I'm going to mount the shaft between these two B blocks and then put it into my 8-inch milling vise. But before I do that, I've only just repositioned this vise. I've had a smaller one on, so I'm going to tram the jaws in to make sure that the vise is running perpendicular with the laid bed. Well, I'm going to use this Mr. Toya digital DTI gauge, guys. It's a new addition to the shop, and this will be the first time that I've used it. I've got it mounted on this very large Mercer magnetic stand. This isn't new, I've had this for quite a while, but I'm going to mount the magnetic base onto the upright at the back of the machine. It's a ball nose cutter, and I've had a delivery of some drills that I'd picked up. You can see there's a chamfered flute on it, so I've got one of those mounted into the